Let's take a look at some evidence from this Karen Reed, John O'Keefe, Jennifer McCabe, and Carrie Roberts case. This is where Karen Reed had dropped John O'Keefe, the Boston police officer, off at this house right here. And then what the prosecution was saying in the first trial and the second trial was that she backed up into him, hit him with the taillight, and then he gets then he dies. He dies in the snow. And then what was interesting is he died in the corner of the yard. So I guess she had just dropped him off on the sidewalk or something and then had hit him. So there's this picture here where John O'Keefe had all these lacerations on his arms. This is a little bit more vivid picture here. So he had like these cut marks. And then I heard that the prosecution was saying something that was caused by the taillight. She hits him with the taillight and then gets all those cuts, whereas the defense was saying it looks like dog scratches. I mean, it could be a number of things. It could be a dog scratch. You could be getting scratched by anything. That wasn't there. They found some sort of cocktail glass too. They found a cocktail glass, so it almost, maybe he stuck his arm through a window and got cut through the window. Now, I heard an interesting theory because you can't just say that a person is just innocent because Karen Reed looks really guilty just by the circumstantial evidence, right? You got a broken taillight, right? Weird. You're the last person who saw him, right? You dropped him off, and then, you were supposed to be together. You were supposed to go to the party together. You dropped him off, and then you went home, and then you're calling him and asking him where the hell is he at, and you're supposedly worried about him all night, and then you wake up at like 6 or 5 o'clock in the morning and go searching for him, and then you find him. You're still drunk too, so you blow a .09 in the morning. So, all these people's memories have got to be pretty hazy because, they went to the bar, she drank like 6 drinks, and then now they're suing the bar saying that, they overserved her with the amount of drinks, and ultimately, when I read this book called Framed, John Grisham's Framed, nobody who's accused ever gets to walk free unless you can prove that it was somebody else. And typically, that's how you know for sure that the person was innocent, because you found DNA evidence that this other guy did it, or this other woman did it. This other person did it, and you found DNA evidence. That's like the only time whenever you get exonerated. Once they charge you, then, the whole damn criminal justice system is just so messed up. That judge just got arrested, right? So she's going to have to prove her innocence beyond a reasonable doubt. You don't have to prove the guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You got to prove your innocence. Once they throw charges on you, then your just name is ruined forever. Every time you do a background check, that judge isn't even going to be able to work at, some local, fast food restaurant, just, flipping burgers, or even being not a janitor, but like the assistant janitor. She isn't even going to get, be able to get hired on it, because it's like, wait, you're assisting illegal immigrants to flee the country? You're obstructing justice? They threw 2 felonies on her. It was administrative warrant, and then they just, by affidavit, put 2 felonies on her. I don't know what Wisconsin's Constitution says, but America's Constitution says you need a grand jury indictment to have a felony put on you. So, looking at these lacerations, right, I also want to take a look at this, another pretty damning thing where Jennifer McCabe, they're saying that this thing right here, she had searched how long to die in the cold, was done January 29th at 2:27 a.m. Why would you type in how long to die in the cold? Now, here's another thing. This exact, sentence is right down here too. How long to die in the cold. And it's saying this was done 6:24. And so here they're saying, okay, they basically said the same question fucking 4 times. And then it says Safari, and then it says Knowledge C right here, and then it says Safari, then source file. So this is all, Greek to me. I don't know exactly what it's trying to say, but this spreadsheet is saying that this was deleted. This right here, the Jennifer McCabe had, well, we'll get to that in a second, but just this arm, okay, so that sounds crazy to me. And it was a passenger side tail light. So Karen Reed supposedly goes to this house, and I can see both things happening. Karen Reed could definitely use her car as a weapon, and then either the cops inside the house had beat the guy up, maybe he got jumped right outside for some damn reason, maybe some crazy, I don't know, mugger came up and just attacked him for no damn reason, because that's what Karen Reed essentially has to do. She's got to prove her innocence to find the real killer, or at least get close to the real killer. The poking holes in their theory to beyond a reasonable doubt, that's different. To me, I like 91%. Blackstone's ratio says 91% is beyond a reasonable doubt. So you don't even have to be 100%. You just have to be 91% sure that the person did it. Because the idea is you let 10 guilty people go just so you don't throw one innocent person in jail. So you got to be 91% sure. So the case against Karen Reed seems pretty damning. They had all these arguments, they had all these text messages, so they got this rocky relationship. She keeps calling them and keeps saying, hey, where are you at? How come you're not talking to me? Where are you at? Where are you at? And it just sounds awful, and then eventually they go out drinking and they seem like they're having a good time. But there's clearly some issues, right? They're clearly not having a good time throughout the day. Throughout the day, she was saying something, I'm just trying to be, all sweet on you, and then you hit me in the face with a pillow. So, it's just, I feel sorry for both of them, frankly, because clearly, I don't know if he was trying to get away from the relationship. He didn't seem like he was happy that morning. And then I just heard something else. That you had this guy named Brian Higgins. Brian Higgins, who is an ATF agent. Brian Higgins, ATF agent. He was sending a bunch of flirty messages. So this guy right here, this guy with the fucking hair. What is up with this guy's hair? I gotta quit laughing because that's not nice. That's not nice. But he's got like funky hair all over the place, right? What is up with this? Is this, I guess back in the 1950s, was this the cool way to do your hair? Like, hey man, oh, he's got that funky hair. Mr. Funky Hair Guy. Funky Hair Man. Okay, so whatever. Just to float the alternate theory. So what could have happened? What else could have happened? If it wasn't, if it wasn't Karen Reed that backed into her, then what could have happened? Like, just put forward a damn theory. And I've heard actually 2 people in the chat of this one live YouTube account I was watching, AV to the 7th power, and the 2 theories basically said the same thing. They said that Brian Higgins gets into a fight with John O'Keefe. Brian Higgins wanted Karen Reed, and he's jealous, and so he goes into the house, they get into a fight, and then they said that the father gets in, and the father of who? Albert, so it's not Brian Albert, but the father of Albert. And then they said Colin jumped in, and then the dog jumped in, so that's very interesting. That would actually explain, why he's got scratches on his arms, because the dog was, a part of the fight. So there's a fight that happens. John O'Keefe goes inside the house. Now this contradicts. I read that there was like 11 witness statements. So 11 witnesses signed, affidavits or testified or something saying that Brian O'Keefe never went into the house. Cops can be thicker than thieves though. So, maybe they all just, but why would they all hate John O'Keefe? What would John O'Keefe had done to the rest of them that they would all band together like this? Or maybe they all witnessed a murder and they didn't want their friend to go down. But that means, 11 people would have to keep the lie to themselves. I guess we never figured out JFK, right? Who killed JFK? So I guess it's possible that 11 people could keep their mouths shut. But 2 people floated this idea that this Higgins, Brian Higgins and John O'Keefe are getting into a fight. And then somehow the father gets into the fight. And I'm not sure what father they're both talking about. And then they said Colin jumps in. And then that the dog jumped in. So that's saying that 1, 2, 3 people was a part of this fight. And the dog was a part of the fight. And then after they got into a fight, then they just dumped the body outside. Like, that sounds just as crazy to me. Because if they were all going to cover the damn thing up, maybe they got into a fight and then the other people inside the house didn't see it, and then they just put the body by the front lawn. I mean, that sounds crazy to me. Now let's take another, look at another piece of evidence here, because I just want to take this piece by piece. Ultimately, the truth is immutable. The truth is immovable. The truth is a mountain. The truth stays the same no matter what happens. No matter what lies are told, no matter what people say or don't say, the truth is always the same. John O'Keefe definitely got killed. Who did he get killed by? We don't know. Not 100%. And so, whoever killed John O'Keefe will always have killed John O'Keefe. And the way that they did it is always going to be the truth. Whether we ever figured the damn thing out or not, the truth always stays the same. Either a thing happened or it didn't happen. And he got murdered. He got murdered by somebody. Was it with the candlestick? Was it in the bedroom? Was it in the library? Was it with the taillight on the street? I don't know. But here you have a timestamp, okay? So this is nuts. This is a point for Karen Reed's side, okay? So even though the case against Karen Reed looks pretty bad, because, all eyes on Karen Reed, and she's got a spotlight, and she's the one with the charges on her. Now, this is incredible, right? I don't understand. I got several questions, but let's just take this at face value. Why would Jennifer McCabe search 2:27 in the morning? How long does it take to die in the cold? Why would Jennifer McCabe search that? That says questions about why she did it at that moment in time, and then what about afterwards? What didn't she search for? Can you save the guy? Can you give resuscitation? How can you save somebody from hypothermia? How long to die in the cold? I wonder, just with the technology, because that question is so similar to that question, she's saying that it was requested by somebody to type it in, and then she typed it in when they found the body. So right after 6 a.m., she typed it in, how long does it take to die in the cold? Not, 2:27 in the morning. So how did they come by this, timestamp? How did they come by this? And then it was deleted, right? So that makes it seem more shady. And I believe Jennifer McCabe said that she never deleted anything. And then she also kind of retorted, I'm not the one on trial here. In a way, all you motherfuckers are on trial. All you motherfuckers are on trial. A lot of assholes just want to stay behind a plexiglass and act like they are untouchable. But we want to know the damn truth. The only way you get objective justice is with the objective truth. The objective truth definitely exists. And then justice is eye for an eye. So in order to get objective justice, you need the objective truth. Unfortunately, with American court systems, we don't believe in investigative court. We don't believe in inquisitional court. There's a lot of it, what do they call it, where they just clash two parties together. What do they call that? They call it, I don't know, they call it something, but basically it's just adversarial. They got this adversarial system. So you have, two sides, and they clash as much as they can together, and then supposedly the truth is supposed to shake out of that. But do the jurors know that? Do the jurors understand that? So, yeah, that's fucking weird. How long does it take to die in the cold? I mean, you would type something like that in if you saw murder, if you saw somebody get killed and they were thrown out in the snow, and you were worried about whether or not they would live. That's why you would type, how long does it take to die in the snow? You could also just type it out of curiosity. You could type it because you were involved in something or wasn't involved in something. You could have typed it in because somebody else was involved in something that had told you. So there's a number of reasons why she could have typed that into her phone. But at 2:27, 40 a.m., the time of the timeline, Karen Reed drops him off after midnight. I think they leave the bar after midnight. And then she goes back at 6 in the morning. So, from after midnight to 6 in the morning, that's when he's going to get, attacked, and that's when he's going to die. He also had 2 black eyes. He got hit in the arm, and then he's got all those scratches on his arm. So if you got hit with the car, if you got hit with a car, would your arm look like that if the taillight hit that? If the taillight hit that, then maybe you would have 6 inches worth of scratches, but that's 1 foot worth of scratches. And then maybe if you got hit by a car, maybe you'd get some scratches, and then maybe your head would hit the car, and then that would explain the 2 black eyes because, you got broken nose or something, so that's why you got 2 black eyes. And I'm not even sure why I think he's got two black eyes, because I haven't actually seen a picture of like his dead body. Maybe it was AI, but that's what I heard, and I just got that picture in my head that he has two black eyes and a hurt arm, and he's got all these scratches on his. Is that his right arm or left arm? I'm not for sure. And then Karen Reed does, this interview right here. Let's listen to some of this.
She's motivated to make sure that the truth comes out. Has she made any seminal decisions in this case? Have we seen any filings that are directly from her decision and her thought process of how things should play out?
The better question is, have we seen any filings that she didn't have a seminal investment in, a decision about, a suggestion about? Every single thing that you've ever seen filed in this case has gone through Karen, at least some of them are hyper legal, right? But she's educated herself on, she'd make a better lawyer than most lawyers these days. But she will have an impact, and she's got a seat at the table in terms of strategy and tactics that we use every single day.
There are so many people who have never met you but are so invested in your life and the outcome of this case. I know there are some who adamantly support you, but do you ever worry about your safety with the people who do not want to see you succeed in this case?
I did more earlier on. I feel more insulated now. I feel safer that people know. Because if anything ever happened to me or someone that I love, I think a lot of people would know where to look. So that makes me feel safer.
Have you received any credible threats?
Yep, I have. There's been some online that just the fact that someone's brazen enough to even post something like that gives you some insight into their stability or lack thereof.
People showing up at your house, calling your private cell phone?
No, that has not. I've really not had my physical boundaries impinged in any way. Nor have my parents. I think, by and large, very large, there are very friendly people all around me.
Your defense strategy is the most aggressive I've ever seen in a case. You've taken on the DA, you've taken on the judge. How much of that is Karen Reed? How much is that the team?
Probably equal parts.
I have to think it through. How will I deal with this? Who will fight for me if I'm not sitting here to fight for myself? And of course I thought about an acquittal because I know I deserve it. I had not really thought about a mistrial. It was only a couple days. It was like day 2, the end of day 2 into the deliberations, that both David and Alan told me separately when we were in the church next door that this could be a mistrial. And the prospect of that at that time during jury deliberations was a gut punch. But then when it was declared, it was such a relief that I was free. I was free to sleep in my own bed, hug my parents, continue to work on this case. My immediate next worry was, I hope I have my team available to go to battle all over again. But those moments, waiting to hear 12 strangers determine what is going to physically happen to you for the foreseeable future or forever, when you're able to walk out a free woman or man, it was an incredible relief. You just see your life it can just be taken away from you.
As we head to the second.
So that's just a little bit. I think she actually answers the questions and talks really well. She was saying that the truth, shining a light on the thing, is a great disinfectant. And then when they asked her, did she hit John with the car, she said no, and I thought she had actually answered that question right or decently. And then she also talked about how, when people ask you that question directly like that, there's so much scrutiny about how you answer that even if you answer honestly, you have to be, cautious about how you said it, because if you looked over to the side or if you made some sort of gesture, if you, put your hand to your head or blinked 3 times or something, that people might say, well, see, she had lied. And it makes me think of the LBJ quote, just, I don't care if it's true or not, just make her deny it. Just make him deny it. So yeah, this timestamp is incredible. This search, if it had happened at 2:30 in the morning, then that would put her closer to John O'Keefe's death than what we think that we know of Karen Reed. She drops him off after midnight. She goes home. She's calling him a bunch of times, asking where the hell is she, or where the hell are you? And then a lot of the things she's like yelling at him, and just it's a very volatile relationship, or at least it was. The relationship was kind of falling apart. It would seem like to me, because why did she drop the guy off at the house and then call him, 6 times or so, and then she goes to sleep for 4 hours and then wakes up and sees that he didn't come back home, and then now she's all worried about it, and then so this timestamp says that Jennifer McCabe was actually closer to the time that John O'Keefe had died than Karen Reed. So I don't know why she would have typed that in. I don't know, to the theory that John O'Keefe was fighting Brian Higgins, and then the dad and Colin, I don't even know who Colin is, jumps in, and the dog jumps in, and then they got into a fight and then just dragged his body out to the front lawn. I mean, that sounds crazy. 11 witness statements said that John O'Keefe never even entered the house. And so 11 witnesses, how many people was there at the damn party? And then you got a house full of cops, and then somebody was murdered, and we can't figure out what the hell happened. I mean, all these guys are supposed to be smart investigators, right? So how come he doesn't have a Ring camera? How come nobody went outside? And then they said that when the investigation had happened the day after, nobody inside the house came out. And so, I mean, that's not clear cut or anything, but that's an interesting, tidbit. There's inductive reasoning and deductive reasoning. You could start with the premise and then try to, fit all your evidence into it. But I like inductive reasoning, where you just gather all the information that you could gather, and then you start to make conclusions, and slowly but surely you say, okay, that's fact, that's not fact, I'm not sure about that. And then when you put it all together, then, then you can figure it out,